Greetings, everyone, and welcome to another live stream. Well, I am excited about tonight's presentation because I actually had an opportunity to dive deep into the secret archives, the hidden knowledge regarding the different categories of giants, and most importantly, I was also able, thanks to Commander Valiant Thor, to access a high level clearance regarding some of the super soldier operations that have been conducted in terms of some of the Nephilim that were resurrected by the deep state in terms to wreak havoc, and of course that was prevented by our own super soldiers. Now, I also came to realize, based on my deep dive, that some of the giants were actually ancient custodians, and some of these ancient custodian remnants were actually the same giants that were existing during the times of Tartaria. And so there is a huge underground, you could say, cave network where these giants live all around the planet. It's not just in here in the Grand Canyon, but it's all over the planet. Now, I will be talking a lot about that. I'm also going to talk about a new revelation regarding one of the biggest hidden treasures and archives that is even more important and significant than Greenland or Antarctica combined. And so, yeah, we're going to go deep tonight, guys, upon your request. First and foremost, I would like to welcome all of you, not only those that are on the chat, but also those that watch it on the replay. I also want to welcome Starcadian for being here, always on time. And apparently, I think Wolfmother, oh, awesome. Thank you. She made it after all. So I want to thank both of you guys for keeping the live chat really positive. Thank you so much. And I also wanted to remind you guys that this is the last time to actually sign up to the stream. If you guys want to view the Conscious Life Expo presentation, it is available through my website. Now, there is a maximum limit of only 200 people. So once I'm able to reach at least 199, I think I'm going to cut it at that. So go to my website, access it through the link. If you scroll all the way to the bottom, not all the way to the bottom, about 3 classes down, you'll be able to access the live stream for the Conscious Life Expo. That presentation in itself is going to be beyond this world. Okay, I'm going to take you guys on another mind expansive explanation of the human design. All right, another thing I wanted to remind you guys is that my classes are up for grab, and they do start not this coming weekend, but the following weekend. I have 3-level ascension courses: basic, intermediate, and advanced. And I also have our cosmic origin course, which breaks down the entire cosmic infrastructure. If you guys want to know about the history of the multiverse, the different intergalactic councils, and just understand the different levels of reality in terms of the different advanced civilizations, I would suggest taking our cosmic origin. Let's see, anything else? Oh, the Conscious Life Expo is this weekend. So apparently I won't be going live Saturday night because I'm going to be there. But on Saturday afternoon around 4, I think 4:30 Pacific time, again, I'm going to be presenting a new presentation that is actually the culmination of my work. So if you want to view it via a stream, I do have that through my website. Anything else? I think that is all. Oh yeah, Folium. One last chance to get your Folium before it runs out of stock. So this product is designed to clean the body from nanoparticulates, metals, radiation, so that the natural healing process can take effect. The link is always in the description. And I think that is all. Oh yeah, for those that are new to my channel, I am the author of those 2 amazing books behind me: Our Cosmic Origin, Restoring Galactic Information Back to the Earth, and of course, The Secret Government over there hiding, revealing the true history of the planet going back to pre-biblical times, based on the battle between the 2 brotherhoods. And anything else. I think that is all. Okay, so bear with me, guys. We're going to go deep today. This live, or this presentation, was created upon your request. So I'm going to be sharing information that I don't think no one else out there has shared. So buckle your seatbelts and let's go for a deep dive. Well, as you guys know, there are different legends and stories describing the giants. Okay. I used to think that they were all evil, that they were all descendants of the Nephilim. But as I was able to go into the vaults, into some of the archives, um, tapping into, again, classified information, boy, was I wrong. Okay. Some giants were actually known as positive giants. They were part of an ancient custodial race that even predates Atlantis and Lemuria. So it goes back before those civilizations. Well, we all know that the Nephilim, of course, the offspring of the fallen angelics, right? The negative Anunnaki and the 100 and the 200 Igigi, the 200 celestials that were forbidden to mate with the daughters of men, producing these abominations that were actually eating humans and were evil. Well, those are the descendants of the fallen celestial beings. And we all know that throughout history, those negative groupings of giants were very warlike, very hungry for domination, and very volatile. Okay. And of course, these are the giants remembered in all fearful accounts. They were known as tyrants who demanded tribute and ruled through strength. So, as mentioned, as I dive deep into this rabbit hole, I also discovered a second category of giants that were associated with one of the first civilizations on planet Earth. Okay. And these have been known as custodians or protectors of ancient knowledge. And so these are giants that have always been aligned with natural law and guardianship of humanity. And so these giants, according to all ancient accounts, a lot of books that were left out of history, actually taught early humans agriculture, astronomy, and stonecraft. Okay, so again, these are giants that are on a whole new different level than the Nephilim. So it has been brought to my attention that throughout history, these giants, believe it or not, even within both on the surface and within the underground networks, have become, you could say, an ancient memory that has been echoed in many different stories. So, if you guys could give me a chance, 1 second here. All right, so the good ones, the protectors, have been revealed in esoteric lore. When they talked about like some surviving giants who actually withdrew into places where human civilizations could not easily follow. A lot of them went deep into the cavern system. Again, there is a network of caves that are about 2 miles deep in one of the layers of the earth where these things are connected, deep cavern systems, isolated mountain vaults, and subterranean networks that were apparently formed long even before recorded history. So these hidden sanctuaries were said to be shielded by geological instability throughout the different fall of civilizations due to cataclysms and so on and so forth, electromagnetic anomalies like solar flares, and of course, ancient technologies that were left behind by lost civilizations. So, the war between both the negative giants and the positive giants could also be part of an ancient memory that was echoed in stories like the Titanomachy Ragnarok. I don't know if you guys ever read that myth, but according to that myth, the battles that they recorded were between the gods and giants. So apparently, the gods with the lowercase g in this case were part of an ancient custodian race that are still very tall in stature. Okay, and they fought a war against another group of giants known as the Titans. And I think even in Greek mythology, they talked about Kronos and how Kronos used to eat his children and suppress humanity before, of course, the rise of the Olympians who overthrew them. And so we hear these stories echoed in every ancient tradition, scattered across the Sumerian tablets. We even read about them in like biblical passages. So we hear about them in the oral traditions of nearly every continent. And there are also references to giants who survived, again, all the multiple cataclysms. So let's explore, guys, the idea that some of these beings did not vanish in the flood. Okay, as mentioned, they actually retreated. So even though the whole purpose of initiating the flood was to eliminate the Nephilim, right? The fallen offspring, or what we call the children of the falling angels and women, but some of them were able to survive, okay, unfortunately, and they did retreat. And so, according to some esoteric legends, they have, again, withdrew into the underground cavern system for thousands and thousands of years. So, there are multiple hidden locations throughout the planet, not just in, of course, Grand Canyon, but that is one of the places. But there are multiple places all around the planet. Myths, all throughout traditions, have often pointed to a recurring geographic regions, such as the remote mountain ranges where seismic readings behave irregularly, vast underground cave systems beneath deserts. Okay, but we're talking about a mile and a half to 2 miles deep, as well as polar regions where ice conceals ancient structures. Some of the secret space program whistleblowers did reveal that they found skeletal structures in Antarctica, ranging from 9 feet tall all the way to, I believe, 34 feet tall. Yeah, that is as tall as a building. Okay. And then, of course, they were able to uncover a lot of these ruins and ancient megalithic sites that were built with stone blocks far beyond conventional lifting capacity. So apparently, all of these regions where not only were they able to find remnants of giants, but where some of the giants who survived still exist, but in stasis. I'm going to explain the different categories. It turns out that most of them are in stasis, and there is a big reason why, and I'll explain that in a little bit. But apparently, all of these regions were not random locations either. Okay, they were chosen for the natural concealment regions where tectonic depth, of course, resided with heavy mineral density and magnetic distortions could actually mask life signatures from surface detection. Okay, so that's why they were hidden in those areas. So some traditions have spoken of sleeping chambers, right? Vast stone vaults sealed behind collapsed tunnels where ancient beings entered into a stasis like state or status. Well, these chambers were believed to be aligned with planetary cycles, and they only awaken, of course, only under certain cosmic or geomagnetic conditions, such as a solar flare or the solar flash, right? Well, the solar flares, the CMEs that are coming in, are not only awakening dormant DNA within all living things on the planet, but apparently they're also acting as waking triggers to these hidden giants. And legends have described that during periods of global upheaval, what some would call world resets, and as all of you guys know, this is one of many civilizations, right? There's been so many civilizations that were erased out of history due to these resets. So there has been dormant energy surges through the Earth's crust. Um, According to legend, solar flares, magnetic pole fluctuations, and tectonic stress, of course, which have caused some of these world resets. And a lot of them were, again, intelligently engineered between the war between these two factions, the Guardians and the Fallen Ones. Okay. So a lot of this ties into the wars between the interdimensional, as well as, of course, a lot of these giants are remnants or what we called descendants of these beings. So now, we all know that long before recorded civilizations, these legends of giants were told we were told that these legends of giants once existed and that they openly walked on the earth. Okay, even the Bible talks about that. In the book of Genesis, it talks about the times where even the giants and the Nephilim were on the earth. Okay, so again, these are different categories of giants. The Olympians, which were also tall, were actually the good guys. So when the cataclysms would come, whether through fire, whether through floods, or planetary resets. Some, of course, did perish, and some just slept. Okay, and so in the last, you could say, few years. So, as mentioned, some were sealed beneath stone vaults, hidden in tectonic chambers, buried beneath deserts in ice. And so the sleeping giants have been in stasis for thousands of years. And so, whether they were placed there on their own or imprisoned by an even earlier civilization, there is evidence as to why they're there. And I will share that in a little bit. So, apparently, the deep state has been studying all of this because the deep state has had access to a lot of all of these secret records. And so, in the early years of advanced subterranean scanning technology, we're talking about in the last 85 years plus, especially with the advent of breakaway groups and secret space programs, the deep state military industrial complex has been studying where these giants that are in stasis are located. They've been using classified geological surveys that began detecting anomalies beneath remote regions of the planet, cavities too symmetrical to be natural, and of course, chambers that were shielded by dense mineral deposits. Organic mass readings far beyond any known animal classification was also registered. This is one of the ways in which the deep state was able to capture them. As you probably already know, that they've been looking for these Nephilim for quite some time. We're talking about the negative giants. Some reports have stated that when the deep state found out that these Nephilim were still in stasis, that they were still alive, they were just sleeping, okay, they had a plan. They had a plan to apparently resurrect them. And a lot of this has to do with the final battle against God's army, okay? The whole purpose of resurrecting some of these Nephilim that are in stasis is to wage war against Christ and his army. Well, who is the army of Christ? Us, right? They all knew about the great prophecy where our dormant DNA would reactivate, we would access superhuman abilities, and they would want to use the Nephilim to fight us, or at least be part of that war against us. Well, luckily, my friends, as I will share in a little bit, that timeline was canceled. All right. And we all know that the deep state was never motivated by mythology. Okay. They were actually motivated by biology. So they always knew that these giants were still in stasis. Okay. They had access to the secret records. And they always knew that their genetic structure represented an evolutionary leap in size, density, neural capacity, and regenerative resilience. They knew that their DNA might hold markers long lost in modern humanity. So the deep state believed that the giants' genes, if they were to unlock them, that they would be able to hold on 1 second, guys. I know I got over the food poisoning a few days ago, but I feel like it's like a medium right now. I don't understand why. All right, let me continue here. So they needed that DNA to create extreme cellular regeneration, right? They were trying to extract some of that DNA in order to infuse it with human DNA. And a lot of this connects with the underground experiments connected to JE from the island, right? And of course, the big tech companies. Also, they were trying to use Nephilim DNA to accelerate muscular density in certain humans. Okay, they were trying to upgrade their own. Again, this is all part of recreating chimeras, right? A hybrid between us and them. So they resurrected them, or they were trying to find them for multiple reasons. Okay, so also in addition to all of that, they needed neural expansion beyond current cognitive limits. And resistance to environmental extremes as well. So this was the goal of the deep state, was to extract genetics and to resurrect some of the Nephilim in order to wage war against the armies of the Christ. Now, there is this operation that the Earth Alliance implemented with the collaboration of the Galactics, and that was called Operation Bloodline. All right, no, let me rewind. Before I get to the to the operations that were conducted by the Earth Alliance, one of the operations that the deep state implemented in their, again, hunting of the Nephilim was Operation Bloodline. So this was a deep state operation. I'm getting ahead of myself right now, but all of a sudden I got this weird stomach ache. I don't know why. But anyways, covert expeditions were launched into deep caverns within the last 20 years, right, beneath mountain ranges and polar ice shelves. And these were all teams that were hired by the deep state. And this includes also private contractors and compartmentalized research units that were also deployed to recover biological samples of these giants. So, luckily, the giants weren't fully awakened when these teams arrived, but what these teams did is they were able to extract and harvest some of their DNA. Okay, so they took bone marrow that was preserved in these giants, of course, tissue that was crystallized by geological pressure, and even they were able to trace blood remnants that were fossilized within sealed vaults. And then some samples were transported to these underground facilities located in, of course, Israel, right? Not to mention Soros Ranch. You see how all of this connects to the files as well, guys? It's all connected, okay? And, of course, underground genetic laboratories. These were facilities that were officially designated for advanced biomedical research. Well, according to the public, they, in the in the face of the public, they didn't exist, and we all know that, right? But privately, that's where all the experiments began. Now, according to a high-level clearance, this is a classified briefing document coming from the Earth Alliance. But according to this document, this is what they called Operation Codename Titan Black, which was distributed by a high command, Strategic Defense Council, Super Soldiers Corps command working on behalf of the Earth Alliance, which is, again, now a blending of Space Force and Solar Warden. Okay, so between Q3 and Q4 of the operational year, we're talking about 2016, right? The Q awakening, the Great Awakening. The Earth Alliance orbital reconnaissance detected anomalous subterranean biosignatures across multiple global regions. And this is right after the military-industrial complex, who is the Cabal, started, of course, conducting their underground experiments with the Nephilim. Okay, well, the Alliance initial readings did indicate that extreme skeletal density had been extracted in some of these underground facilities and put into chambers to create a type of, or to replicate it, rather, okay? Also to accelerate, you could say, cellular activity And they also discovered that, according to this, that the life form height of these giants that were resurrected were anywhere between 16 to 25 feet. Okay. And they also uncovered what is known as a metabolic output exceeding known terrestrial biology in these underground facilities. So, cross reference with archived secret knowledge and cataclysmic databases, they all identified these probable matches with what they thought was an extinct Titan class entity race that they called the Nephilim. Okay, boy, were they surprised when they realized that the Nephilim were actually in stasis. Okay, so subsequent intelligence did confirm that a rogue technocratic group, and we all know who they are, of course, JE, right? The big gates and their buddies, that's who they're referring to here. You guys see how it all connects to the island revelation? Um, let's just call them the deep state. It's believed that the alliance knew that the deep state had successfully reconstructed the giant DNA or Nephilim DNA using recovered ancient samples and, of course, bioregenerative incubation chambers in underground facilities. And so, what they did was they first discovered that the deep state were conducting this in order to weaponize them. Okay, so that's the first discovery, is that these facilities were recreating, resurrecting these giants in order to use them as weapons. Now, the second thing that they detected beyond this threat was how the existence of, or the resurrection of the Nephilim, their their Mer frequency would destabilize the planet's electromagnetic field, because we're living in different times. It's not like ancient times. All right, we're no longer in the Atlantean times when the Earth was operating with multiple electromagnetic fields. So that would destabilize our current weak one. Okay, and so upon confirmation of the reawakening, you could say, a resurrection of these giants, the Earth Alliance activated a protocol with the Galactic Alliance that became part of what they called Planetary Defense Accord. Again, this is new information that I'm revealing because a lot of this ties to what's going on with the other dimensions, right? So they created a protocol with the Galactic Alliance called the Earth Defense Accord in order to neutralize what would have been a new threat. Okay, so what they did is they used a technology transfer that included quantum subsurface resonance scanners to detect exactly where these facilities were. They also used a subcrustal bioface mapping system, as well as a regenerative frequency disruption analysis and a Titan skeletal stress point modeling in order to detect these facilities. And so these systems technically allowed the Earth Alliance command to map out all the hidden facilities up to about 3.2 miles below the surface. So some of these facilities were really deep down in the earth, okay? Bypassing electromagnetic shielding and, of course, geological interference. Now, the total facilities that were identified by the Earth Alliance and the Galactics were 12, okay? Fully active resurrected chambers. They had about 7 giants that they were able to resurrect, fully cognitive. Some Titans were in a late stage reanimation, where I guess there were 4 of those, and then some were fully mobile Titans, right? Capable of controlling their body parts, capable of walking and engaging and interacting, and they were a total of 3. So fully active resurrected chambers, there were 7. Titans in late stage reanimation, there were 4, and fully mobile Titans, 3. And so an immediate action was authorized by the Earth Alliance with approval by the Galactics to deploy, of course, the super soldiers. So I am so glad I had to go deep into this today for you guys. Due to the scale and physical capability of these giants that were resurrected in these cabal facilities, apparently, you guys know that our conventional military were very insufficient, okay, when it came to countermeasuring this. So what they did is they deployed some super soldiers that was authorized by the Earth Alliance Corps um, for a combat division, okay, under the combat divisions, for subterranean combat division, rather. So what this included was enhancements, of course, of certain human adaptive to gravity exo armor. Okay, this is part of their super soldier wear, adaptive gravitic exo armor, as well as seismic shock absorption plating. These guys were built very similar to the what were they called? The Spartans and Halo. If you guys ever seen the Halo series, okay, neural overload resistance shielding gadgets, augmented strength amplification systems. So they were enhanced to have super strength. So they were enhanced with all of this. Again, this is coming from the Earth Alliance highly classified information, and of course, primary weapons that were authorized, such as graviton compression launchers, plasma shear cannons, harmonic frequency disruptors, Titan grade magnetic anchor harpins, as well as controlled singularity charges. Wow. And then so the mission directive was to neutralize all resurrected Titan class entities, destroy the resurrection infrastructure, all of them, secure the genetic archive, and of course, prevent the cabal from continuing this operation. Wow. Okay. So this is fascinating information as well. So basically, the super soldiers, with the help of the Galactics, were able to neutralize this situation. Otherwise, the cabal was planning on using these Titans uh, to wreak havoc and impose the one world government. Okay. Now, I will explain in a little bit how the cabal was planning on controlling their minds. Okay. So they did have them connected to some sort of technology that allowed the cabal to pretty much control their minds via remote control, okay, which is insane. Let's see. So, according to the engagement report, the facility 0-1, which is a desert vault complex. Now, they told me I couldn't reveal the exact desert, but it's a desert vault complex. Titan Alpha emerged during the breach. The height of this Titan was about 18 feet. That's pretty tall, guys. No wonder they needed to create super soldiers, right? Or use super soldiers to fight these Titans. The status of this Titan was unstable regeneration cycle, engagement duration. It took the soldiers 9 minutes and 43 seconds to neutralize these Titans, 18-foot, they achieved this via synchronized graviton suppression and maximum output frequency disruptor. Wow. Isn't that similar to the same technology that they used to take out Maduro's army in Venezuela, except they amplified it to a higher frequency to disrupt the nervous system and the mind of these giants? So apparently, the super soldiers were using the same technology that they use in the Maduro raiding, but more enhanced. Okay. So the facility destroyed, okay, post engagement. That's good news. Facility number 3 was located in a mountain core site, and I can't reveal the mountain, but again, I will, talk about the operation. 2 Titans that awakened during a containment failure, close quarter subterranean combat conditions as follows: high structural instability, engagement required gravity amplification maneuver, level 4 overload. In other words, they were using advanced Galactic Alliance tech to take them out. Both entities neutralized via cranial regeneration and one second. Okay, so as I was saying, sorry, my I'm losing where I'm at right now. According to this report, facility number 3. Okay, two Titans awakened. Engagement required gravity amplification maneuver, level 4 overload. Both entities neutralized via cranial regeneration node targeting. So apparently, they used a gravity amplification device that completely dismantled them via their mind. Okay, they destroyed their mind. The facility collapse that was initiated to prevent further reconstruction. So the collapsing of the facility was the final thing that the super soldiers did. And then also the largest recorded Titan class entity was about 24 feet tall, and this was a tectonic fault installation, final stronghold that the Earth Alliance had to take out using super soldiers. Okay. So the height of this Titan was about 24 feet tall. Now that's almost as tall as a mid sized building. That's pretty tall, pretty big. So what they did is they reinforced bioplanting by bioplanting present cognitive responsive elevated technology, okay, whatever that is, super soldiers casualties, 2 critical injuries only, but 0 fatalities. So apparently, in this operation, to take down this 24-foot giant, 2 super soldiers were injured, but there were still zero casualties or fatalities, which is pretty cool. Engagement required Omega clearance level, and then they said singularity charge deployed at close range. Okay, that's another technology. Target neutralized through internal gravitational collapse. So apparently, the Alliance used this technology called a singularity charge blast. I've never even heard of that. Again, this is all new intel to neutralize this 20-foot four giant. And so, primary resurrection hub destroyed. Okay, that's pretty good. That's a pretty good ending, right? Now, all of these 12 facilities, guys, have been neutralized by our super soldiers with the help of the Galactics. So that is the good news, okay? Now, all active Titans entities have been that are again that were resurrected by the Cabal to wreak havoc and use them to impose the one world government have been terminated. So that timeline was canceled, right? And so the genetic reconstruction data has been secured by the Alliance, and the transferred to restricted. Okay, so they transferred. What did they transfer to? Restricted vault containment. Okay, that's interesting. Civilian awareness level 0. Surface anomalies attributed to seismic disturbances. No remaining active Nephilim biosignature detected via galactic scanning grid. So apparently, again, Space Force is using advanced technology. This is good news. Now, there was one instance, guys. There was one instance, according to this archive, that one Nephilim, one resurrected giant, did reach the surface level. Okay. And luckily, when it reached the surface level, it was in a desert type environment where there were no people to witness it. Okay. And when that giant reached the surface level, um, if the super soldiers, in the event the super soldiers would have not arrived, the projected casualties would have exceeded urban catastrophic thresholds, according to this analysis. Okay. But thanks to our super soldiers, they were able to, of course, take down this giant that reached the surface level from these facilities. So the deep state's intent overall was confirmed to be a full spectrum destabilization using biologically resurrected macro combatants. And of course, this was all prevented through Operation Titan Black, conducted by the Earth Alliance and our super soldiers. So, in the event that the cabal was successful in the resurrection of this Nephilim, and of course the implementation of their DNA and creating hybrid races, there would definitely be planetary infrastructure collapse, mass civilian casualties. We're talking about um, what they were doing in ancient times, right? They were literally eating humans. Potential global panic events breaking out worldwide, very similar to a zombie apocalypse when you guys think about it, right? But luckily, the corpse of the super soldiers were performing and did conduct an exceptional takedown of these negative giants. Okay. So the Galactic Alliance scanning grid remains very active till the present and low frequency monitoring everything up to now. So the subterranean anomalies are currently being watched. Okay. In fact, it's believed that a lot of them have been cleared by now. There's just a few remaining. And I believe that the one that is underneath Tevid Desert in Israel, I think that's what it's called, not Tevid, not Tel Aviv. I'm sorry, it's called something else. The desert somewhere in Israel. I think I mentioned it in my last report, where Je is right, Jeffrey. That's the last one to be taken out as to why Israel is last. So yeah, let's go over a different aspect of the giants. Okay, so we do know that there are different categories of giants. Okay, I was mind blown. I thought they were all evil because I was thinking descendants of the Nephilim. Boy, did I not realize that there were other epochs or other advanced civilizations where the people were 12 feet tall, 15 feet tall, and so on and so forth. So let's talk about the secrets regarding what some call the black box in the Grand Canyon. Well, the black box in the Grand Canyon actually has to do with a network of caves that exist about 2 miles deep underneath the Grand Canyon, deeper than the crystalline chambers that, of course, um, activate the Earth's natural grid. But they are said to be also vaults containing archives far older than Atlantis, Lemuria, and even get this, Hyperborea, which was a civilization that existed before Lemuria. Okay. One thing that they found was that according to the hidden Hyperborean records, now we're going to go deeper. I know you guys like to go deep, so we're going to go deeper. Um, all right, so before I go deep, something's happening here with my computer. It's not working. It just moves on its own. It's almost like it's being possessed. So, yeah, I apologize for that, guys. My computer is not working today. So, I am trying to go back to where I was. Okay, so according to the hidden Hyperborean records, the earliest giants were not monsters. They were actually part of the Earth's original stabilization architecture. According to the secret knowledge, they were actually bioengineered guardians designed to anchor planetary ley lines and maintain tectonic harmony. And there's a reason why. So these first giants, between 12 and 20 feet tall, their skeletal structures were very dense, yet harmonically tuned to the Earth's magnetic field. And they were not gods, okay? They were actually, and they weren't invaders either. They were custodians, okay? They were custodians. And so they existed when the Hyperborean civilization still flourished. I don't know if you guys ever studied the Hyperborean civilization, but they predate Lemuria. Okay. These giants that served as protectors of the subterranean vault system beneath the Grand Canyon were chosen for that, and they still exist underneath those layers of the earth deep into the earth in order to protect the vault. Okay. So their chambers were actually located in concentric rings surrounding what they call the black box, which is a network of hidden regions deep underneath the Grand Canyon. Each giant placed within a crystalline stasis pod that preserved their frequency during planetary resets is still there. And so, um, according to legend, it's believed that they have been there until, of course, the end of the cycle, which is now. And so, now I want to talk about the Hyperborean civilization because one thing that I'm seeing here is a connection between the big mothership that was excavated in Greenland, the Greenland North Gate, the Etarian Vault, which is another large deposit or archive of information. And now we're seeing that there's even a bigger vault in the Grand Canyon. Wow, this is fascinating. All right, so if you guys go back to the stories, right, of um, the different beings in ancient times, the Bible calls them, when the immortals and the giants walked among us. Well, who were the immortals? They were what? They were what the Greeks called the Olympians. The Olympians were the immortals. Okay. We also know that even according to the canon tradition, the oldest traditions, not the canon, but according to the oral traditions of Canaan, they warned about a giant clan that ruled through fear. So they were referring to, of course, the Nephilim. Okay. So when you think about these accounts, right, you have the Olympians who fought a war against the Titans. Well, who were the Titans, guys? The Titans were the children. They were the children of the fallen angels and, of course, the earth humans. So, according to these accounts, um, th- these two lineages both survived and have been, I guess, there's two categories in the Grand Canyon. You have a category that could be traceable back to Hyperborea, and then you have another category that could be traceable back to Tartaria. Wow, this is fascinating. So, deep below the Grand Canyon Vault, this is what they call the good giants. The harmonized giants remained in suspended animation, not frozen in ice, but locked in vibrational stillness. And their biospheres, or their biostructures are intact, and their neural matrices are dormant, and they are said to be attuned to what is known as the black box network, which is, again, the largest archive of information the planet has ever known that is hidden and protected and secured deep within the layers of the Grand Canyon. I hope I'm allowed to say this. I hope this doesn't get taken down because I'm hearing that people that talk about giants or secret vaults or even the mysteries of the Grand Canyon. Anyways, I'm not going to put it out in the universe, but you guys know what I mean. All right, so let's continue here. In the event that the planetary grid destabilizes beyond a critical threshold, it is believed that the box would signal their reactivation. And so that means that their awakening would not be conquest, according to this archive, that it would actually be all about recalibration. Okay, we're talking about the giants that were remnants of the Hyperborean civilization, also known as the harmonized giants. Now, it is believed that not only does the Grand Canyon not only do they contain the largest archive on the planet regarding to information beyond our civilization, but also there is a global network of subterranean giants that connect to different regions of the planet um, through the black box, or what they call the black box network, I guess. So it is important to understand, guys, that A lot of this ties into what they're finding in Antarctica, what they're excavating in Greenland. What we're getting at here is that a long time ago, there was a global civilization of really advanced, tall beings ranging from different heights that apparently lived in a global type of advanced civilization. I believe that this is Hyperborea. I believe that Hyperborea came before Atlantis, it came before Lemuria, and they are now what survived of the remnants have been, of course, relocated deep into the underground. So when you think about what's beneath portions of Antarctica and what they've uncovered there as well, chambers that were sealed beneath miles of ice, right, have been containing what? Colossal forms embedded in crystalline ice fields. And then when you also think about the underground caverns in Peru, right? According to the oral tradition, they all spoke about the what? The sleeping tall ones, okay, who guard inner earth passageways. Well, this makes a lot of sense, okay? This makes a lot of sense. Now, and even in remote regions of Tibet, the monks also whispered of an ancient being or group of beings that sealed in stone vaults beneath forbidden mountains. And last but not least, even beneath the Saudi Arabian accounts or areas, according to legend, uh, the people talked about um, the giants, AD giants, as they call them, that destroyed that were destroyed, and they're talking about the flood, right? But not entirely erased. And it has been revealed that when they took down Saddam Hussein, that unfortunately, uh, they did encounter one of the giants that was protecting the Stargate. Okay. So some of these remnants of the harmonizing lineage, we're talking about the good giants, have been surviving and have continued to exist in these underground vaults for significant reasons. Okay. Now, we all know that these are different than the Nephilim now, according to this report. So, I want to talk about. All right. So, the giants beneath the Grand Canyon are also said to not respond to force, but to frequency. So, again, a lot of this ties with those that are capable of opening up and accessing the Eterian vault in Greenland. It's all interconnected through this underground network. Okay. So, the black box, and again, the black box is the greatest secret in the Grand Canyon, does not just respond to excavation or explosive. The black box, which is an underground network of archives and hidden caves, only respond to harmonic thresholds. Okay. And so if humanity apparently stabilizes its own collective field, if consciousness rises in coherence, which it is as we enter the positive ascending earth timeline. And yes, my friends, today is the 18th of February, and we are still on a positive timeline trajectory. Okay. If humanity raises in consciousness, what this means is that the harmonizing giants will awaken as allies, as they did to help create and build the buildings of Tartaria. All right. I'm going to get into that in a little bit. I told you guys we're going to cover everything tonight regarding all kinds of giants. Okay. So, overall, guys, the existence of both positive, benevolent giants, right? The harmonizing giants of Hyperborea, and the corrupted giants, which were the children of the, you could say, the children of the fallen angels and the earth humans, right? We do know that they are now a big topic, okay? And they have always existed throughout history. So, apparently, the first ones, the Hyperborean remnants, were protectors, and they have always been protectors, okay? of the vaults, the Nephilim, and of course of the inner earth societies. The Nephilim, which is the product, the offspring of fallen angelics and human, were experiments that were pushed beyond balance. And this, of course, is attributed to what? Enki. Enki, who was the master geneticist, and the reason why the golden civilization of Atlantis fell. So, as humanity now carries the fragments, of course, and memories of both lineages, it is believed that some of us, Jew, as a hybridized race, some of us have a little bit of DNA of the Hyperboreans, and then other of us have a little bit of the DNA of the Nephilim. But we could say that the Cabal families fall under that category, right? So, when you think about this, the Grand Canyon is believed to be the biggest planetary archive that the planet has ever held. Okay. That is the greatest mystery about the Grand Canyon. It is the planetary archive, the biggest planetary archive vault. Okay. It is the vault, the biggest archive, whatever you want to call it. I always used to think it was in Greenland, but it's not. It's in the Grand Canyon, which is awesome. So the black box beneath the Grand Canyon is the secret, right? It is the secret that again, the shadow government and these corporations want to hide from us. But now it's all coming to light, let's see, what else can I share? Oh, yeah. So within the black box, which is, again, the hidden layers of the Grand Canyon, they also found a network of pyramids and temples that, again, belonged to the first civilization, the Hyperboreans, before Lemuria and before Atlantis. They discovered every ancient temple for every ancient deity, right? Not just Egyptian, but of course, Greek, Assyrian, every culture, Indian, you name it, okay? Ascended being as well. Every human that has achieved the level of immortality, that is known as an ascended being, they also found a temple for them. So there's like multiple temples that they found, okay? And so it is believed that these temples were constructed by beings that were coming from the four corners of the universe. Okay. This is fascinating because what this means is, again, this all points back to this global civilization that existed prior to Atlantis and prior to Lemuria. We're talking about 30 million years ago, 20 million years ago. That's a long time. Let's see, what else did I uncover for you guys? Oh, yeah, and even okay, so one thing that was also revealed in these archives was that they believed that the Olympians, who the Greeks called gods, again, they weren't gods, that they were actually a refined intelligence who mastered harmonic balance over brute force. And so they were able to defeat the negative titans, right? Who were all about annihilation and control. And so, let me see, I'm trying to share everything that I uncovered here. So going back to the first global civilization, right? Hyperborea, which connected all the continents at one point 20 to 30 million years ago. They were divided, as we know. They weren't divided as today. They were all connected. So this tells me that this was during the times of Pangaea, when all the continents were all connected like a jigsaw puzzle. During those days, its inhabitants were superhuman by modern standard. Wow. Okay. So they were never gods. So all the gods of mythology weren't gods, guys. They were the original humans. Okay. And they were taller. So not only have we been falling in consciousness, but we've also been falling in height. So according to this archive, the Hyperboreans were superhumans that had extended lifespans, enhanced neural capacity, genetic memory access, direct communion with stellar systems via telepathy. And they weren't gods. They were actually interstellar visitors, beings from the four quadrants of the cosmos who converged on the earth to create a hybrid civilization. And of course, we're the end result of that. Wow, this kind of ties in. Well, again, my presentation is going to go into the cosmic. It's going to go deeper into this coming Saturday at the Conscious Life Expo. But this validates my presentation. Okay, so their purpose was not domination, but synthesis. Okay, to merge cosmic lineages into a planetary experiment. But experiments, of course, evolve, and as Earth's magnetic fields shifted and cataclysmic cycles approached, Hyperborea's surface structure fell, and so the pyramids remained as silent anchors, and they're still there. So you guys know that there's a lot of Egyptian architecture underneath the Grand Canyon. Yeah, and also here in Sedona, by the way, but that's a different subject. The temples are still there. Okay, so the black box network is hiding these temples, okay, and these pyramids. Now, the canyon itself, carved not only by water but by ancient energetic releases, became the perfect vault for the largest planetary vault that our planet has ever held. Okay, layer upon layer of geological shielding protecting what lay beneath. And so modern explorers speak of restricted zones and sealed cave systems, right? Yeah, the military has been concealing or blocking certain entry points, even when it comes to people that want to explore, going into the Grand Canyon. Okay, there are certain sections that are blocked. Well, this explains why. So, I hope I didn't eat something bad again. Oh man, this is not good. I might end the live a little early, guys, due to a stomach ache that is not going away. All right, so modern explorers speak of restricted zones and sealed cave systems. Official records describe simple archaeology, but again, the high level clearance archive suggests something else. And this is what they suggest: a planetary fail-safe when it comes to the Grand Canyon. And so it is believed that when we do reach a higher level of consciousness, which we are in the positive timeline, that the black box would reawaken and that it would transmit dormant genetic codes stored in the planetary morphogenetic field into us, into the humans, to the human beings. That's fascinating information. Let's see, what else can I share? Let's see, anything else? All right, I am so sorry, guys. For whatever reason, I'm feeling the same symptoms as I did when I got food poisoning. So I'm going to end this live because I can no longer continue. I apologize. No, I shouldn't apologize. I don't know why this is happening, but I have to get going, guys. Okay, I have to go. May the God force be with you. I'm sorry, no Q&A today. I think I'm sick again. May the God force be with you. I don't know what's happening. Bye. Han.